Hello everybody and welcome to Clydebridge station, and this is video 84 and it's called Sectors in Detail. This is going to be the first of a series of 6 videos that I'm going to be doing throughout 2022, looking at each of the 5 business sectors in detail and also taking a look at the non-revenue earnings sector, that's the departmental or civil engineering sector. In each of the videos I'll be giving you a brief history of the sector, what its role was, and the types of routes that it ran. I'll also advise on liveries as well, and I'll explain how you can model these business sectors. A couple of things I would need to point out to you, however. Not all the items that you might want to model on your layout for this particular business sector or sectors are actually necessarily available on the off the shelf, as it were. What I mean by that is that there are some items that you may need to actually make yourself, i.e. scratch build. There may actually be a need to convert things as well, but that'll be explained in each of the sectors. Furthermore to this as well, I'll be advising you on the liveries that the rolling stock ran, and there'll be little videos appearing on the top right hand corner of the screen at all times, showing you some videos of these trains in operation during the period that my layout is set in, and that's the BR sectorisation period. Where possible, I'll try and make sure that the videos are within that period, but it may be necessary for completeness sake to advise on videos out with that period as well. Finally, and most importantly as well, as I'm going to be mainly focusing on the period between 1982 and 1992, it is worth mentioning that if you are wanting to model these trains out with those periods, there are other layouts out there that do deal with that sort of period or periods. I would also advise you to join the likes of brblue.co.uk or the Scale Model Seniors Railway Modellers Club, where you can also get some advice as well free of charge. And in the case of the latter, it also has a first class section which you can subscribe to. So I'll end my rare appearance in front of the camera by thanking you in advance for watching, and our first sector that we're going to talk about and look at on this 40th anniversary of sectorisation is parcels. The movement of parcels by rail, whilst not as frequent as what it used to be, goes back quite a long way. Indeed, viewers may be surprised to learn that the City and South London Railway, which nowadays forms part of the Northern Line of British Rail, of London Underground rather, actually carried parcels on their trains in the early days as well. The parcels sector of British Rail, like the other business sectors, came into being on the 5th of January 1982. It was actually also the last sector to gain a corporate livery. Parcels' main customers were Red Star Parcels, which is British Rail's own in-house parcels service, and the Royal Mail. In addition to that, up until 1988, it also ran newspaper trains transporting newspapers from central London all the way to other parts of the country. Declining newspaper sales in the 1980s, caused by both the introduction of teletext, that being Oracle and CFAX, the increasing hours of television during the day, and also the expansion of local and radio, meant that newspaper sales started to decline in the early to mid 80s, and of course breakfast television arriving also saw the traffic fall further to such an extent that by 1988 it was totally uneconomic for British Rail to carry on transporting newspapers by rail. The parcel sector ran quite a varied amount of rolling stock. Although you see here is a class 47, in the early days of sectorisation, practically any class of locomotive was used for doing parcels trains. By the mid-80s, it settled down a bit, and the main locomotives being used were 47s and 31s for diesel traction, with occasionally class 50s filling in as well. On the electric side, any AC locomotive was used. On the southern region, class 73s would have been used. The first attempt at a corporate livery for the parcels sector came in 1987. It started out first of all with a class 08 shunter at Manchester Longside Depot, 08721, which was named Starlet. The BR logo was moved further towards the front of the loco, which otherwise carried still rail blue livery. However, it also had a red band along it with yellow thin bands at the top and bottom, and express parcels lettering on the engine room doors with a red star symbol. It was very popular with enthusiasts. In late 1987, associated with the Doncaster Open Day, 47522 was painted into LNER apple green with black and white lining at the bottom and named Doncaster Enterprise. Towards the driver's end, it had 47522 in large numerals, and then here it would have had the BR symbol in parcels. There was a possibility of the red star symbol getting included as well. However, this livery did not find favour with the British Railways Board, and the branding was soon removed with the lettering moved there. It was involved in an accident at Dover in 1989, by the way, and when it was returned to service, it carried this livery here. And this was the first proper corporate livery for parcels. For those modelling, it is a graphite grey band at the top, and the red is actually, it might not be apparent on the camera here, but the red is a much deeper red than what would be with the Royal Mail red that you see there. This particular machine was released from Doncaster in this livery in June 1990, and it was the first diesel loco to carry that livery. Later that year, just a few weeks later, 86419 was released in this same livery, being the first AC electric, and it gained the name Post Haste 150 years of travelling post offices that was previously applied to 73136. The parcel sector rebranded itself as Rail Express Systems in 1991, and the livery was modified so that the graphite band stopped about here and came down here and went along in an L shape, and there were two long blue flashes at the top, two smaller blue flashes there, signifying supposed to be spread eagle wings. Locomotives did not carry Rail Express Systems lettering on them. The BR symbol was still here, the numbering was still here, and it would have also had the depot plaque, like what you would get on a rail freight locomotive, underneath the driver's cab. The livery was applied to Class 47s, Class 86s and Class 90s. As far as I'm aware, it was not applied to any other class of diesel locomotive, and I'm not aware of any Class 33s, Class 73s carrying this scheme. Rail Express Systems also later on took over the charter train work from Intercity in a run-up to privatisation. When modelling the parcel sector of British Rail in the sectorisation era, it's important to remember that not all locomotives and coaching stock at the time would have carried the parcel sector livery. Inevitably, at the very start of sectorisation, it was all blue and grey anyway. This does not mean, of course, that locomotives in other sectors' liveries did not work parcels trains. That is not the case at all. Indeed, 47599, which you see there, I've seen footage of that in a video hauling a parcels train in 1991. As already mentioned, the locomotive livery from 1990 onwards to late 91 was this style of livery. Parcel sector vans in late 1989 started getting this red livery with two yellow bands along the bottom there and the BR logo there. This matched the dark yellow stripe which you can just see there on this Royal Mail stowage van. Rolling stock would otherwise have been in blue and grey and would have been BGs, NEX vans, GUVs, and this is an NKV van. Parcel sector vans were inevitably not kept as clean as other rolling stock because they were not often seen during the day. So you will find that there'll be quite a lot of weather and they will be quite filthy. I don't have facilities to weather and I'm not confident in doing it, so that's why this train is in pristine condition. Under rail express systems, these vans started to get a livery going along that way and down and along, as already mentioned, on the locomotives, but the vans carried the RES branding rail express systems. So you'll need BGs, depending upon your type of change, stowage vans, these sorts of vans as well. And don't worry if you buy a BG that might have newspapers on it, because even after the end of the newspaper trains, there were still vans going about with newspaper branding on them, even well into the 90s. So don't be alarmed at that. The ending of locomotive hauled Transpennine services between Newcastle and Liverpool in 1991 saw some BGs get transferred to the parcel sector, and indeed, as I mentioned already, about 47599, that parcels train included one of those. The introduction of driving van trailers on the West Coast route by Intercity also led to BGs becoming surplus, and these vans went to Parcels and at first were carrying on an Intercity livery without branding until they could get repainted. Out with this period of the layout is the propelling control vehicles of RES. That goes beyond the scope of this video, so I won't go into that. In terms of locomotives, I say any locomotive in 1982 could have carried pulled a Parcels train. I have seen footage of Class 31s hauling them in rail freight livery. I have seen 47706, a sister machine to that one, with a Parcels train as well. That came about after the end of push-pull services in Scotland. 5 locomotives were transferred to Parcels, the other 11 to Network South East. It's not uncommon for a rail freight locomotive without train heating to haul a Parcels train, by the way. In the early days, a couple of Parcels sector locos carried Intercity executive livery, 47549 being a good example of that. That was named Royal Mail. The Parcels sector, of course, also operated diesel multiple units. Some of them were known as DPUs. These were the Class 128s, and these were purpose-built single-car diesel Parcels units. With the introduction of the Great Northern Electric services into King's Cross and Moorgate in 1976, some DMUs became surplus, and the Parcels sector, the Parcels divisions of the regions took advantage of this, and where traffic was light and didn't justify the cost of a locomotive hauled Parcels train, some of these units, and again from 1982 onwards, were converted into diesel Parcels units. These are not off-the-shelf items, and they will require a lot of conversion, so I'll go and move my camera and try and explain that to you. Diesel Parcels units that were converted from diesel multiple units, and it'd be better described as diesel Parcels multiple units, had a lot of work done to them. Roller shutter doors were installed and other passenger saloon doors were sealed up. Not all of them went under this rigorous conversion. It is quite known that some Class 105s, 101s, 120s were made into DPUs or parcels units by simply getting two brake vehicles coupled together, give the extra accommodation. Some of these carried the normal blue and grey livery with the branding of Express Parcels on them. Others would have been painted in all blue livery with the red and yellow stripes along them with Express Parcels livery and the Red Star branding. Later on, some Class 118 units, I believe they were actually painted into Royal Mail livery. And this livery later spread to some electric multiple units that were converted into parcel units, and they had the same roller shutter doors installed on them as well. It is not, as I say, an off-the-shelf item, and I don't think it's an easy thing to actually go and try and convert. If you are wanting to have a go at it, and I have no need to, but if you do want to have a go at it yourself, I would advise you buying a cheap broken DMU and then have a go at seeing how you can get it converted. Have a good practice first, because it doesn't look an easy project, and I don't know if there's any kits available to allow you to convert it into a diesel multiple parcels unit. DPUs did not carry Rail Express Systems livery, and Royal Mail travelling post office vehicles also remained in Royal Mail livery, not RAS livery. The multiple units that were converted at Ilford for Royal Mail did carry the Royal Mail branding and livery, and they were converted into 3-car units. So once one car was taken out of service from the predominantly 4-car unit and converted or used for spares for the other 3 vehicles. Occasionally these would be hauled by locomotives on non-electrified sections. In terms of if you're going to have a station with it as well, roll cages, or brook cages as they're known, will come in handy. These are painted blue, but the Royal Mail ones would have been painted red and might have carried Royal Mail letters on them. A parcels point might be a good thing as well for you. I've got the Rail Express Parcels lorry. Believe it or not, there was one of these parked in Kirkcaldy as late as 1990, so it ties in with the era of the layout. And as well as all of that, a yellow Red Star van might be another useful thing to carry on the layout too. A diesel shunter doesn't have to be in blue and grey livery. It could be in that livery, it could be in any livery. As a station pilot, if you're having to shunt the parcel stock as well, is something else that you will require. And as I say, the locomotive doesn't have to carry the actual parcel sector livery. I've got that for completeness sake, but it can carry any sort of livery. Parcel sector machines, by the way, in parcels livery, were sometimes used on passenger trains, so don't be frightened to have stock moving about between duties if you so need to. One last thing to mention as well about parcel sector, if you are keen on modelling it. It was in the early 80s possible to have these storage vans and travelling post offices in blue and grey with Royal Mail and Rail alphabet lettering, where the word is intercity would have been. So don't be frightened if you see a van like that. It is accurate. It was in the mid-80s that they started to gain this livery. And one last thing, and this is important for those of you who are modelling the southern region, the Class 419 motor luggage vans. 2 of them, 9001 and 9002, did carry Royal Mail livery. One of them was, however, held up and robbed in an incident, according to the Southern email group, Southern Railway email group website, and both the Royal Mail ones were repainted into Straight Network South East livery. So you could possibly have a motor luggage van carrying the Royal Mail branding. I must stress that there was no external alterations done to the MLVs for the Royal Mail livery. It was just simply the paint over. There was no roller shutter doors, etc. So that's a brief look at how you can model the parcels sector and how you can get a parcels train on your layout. Just to mention to you that, of course, parcels trains come in varying lengths and in various states of cleanliness as well. So that completes this video with sectors in detail, looking at how to model it. Please, if you've got your own parcels trains, go and join the Scale Model Scenery Railway Modellers Club, and you can share your photos on there. Let everybody see it. And if you get stuck, ask them on that group as well. There's plenty of people on there who are more than willing to help you out. The next sector we'll be looking at will be rail freight, and we'll have 47599 on display for you. In the meantime, please enjoy your layouts, take care of yourselves, won't you? And we'll see you soon. Bye bye for now.